Hello, sports fans. My name is Mark Mortier from Yesterday Sports. You're about to jump into another thrilling sports history moment. But first, let's dive into today's sponsor, just in time for the holiday season. Introducing Art of Words, the brainchild of word artist Dan Duffy from Philadelphia. Dan meticulously crafts stunning images by hand writing relevant words from some of the greatest sports moments in time. These unique, budget-friendly illustrations are the perfect gift, sparking cherished memories and capturing hearts. Choose from city skylines, sports, history, and musicians to find a piece for everyone. And here's the exciting part. For that sports fanatic in your life, gift them a piece of their favorite team or player's history. Art of Words tells a compelling story. Explore collegiate stadiums, each meticulously crafted with every football victory etched in words. Or venture into baseball stadiums, handwritten with every player from the team's illustrious history. Don't wait. Order a print today for yourself and your loved ones this holiday season. Transform your wall into a gallery of captivating art and surprise your family and friends with a print of their own. Use code SHN15 at artofwords.com for a 15% discount on your order in November and December. Visit Art of Words, where words magically transform into stunning art, evoking cherished memories and touching the hearts of those you care about. Again, use the code SHN15 for 15% off at artofwords.com.
Alright, welcome to the show, boys and girls. This is championship weekend for you NCAA football nuts, which is great. Love it. Awesomeness is where we're at. It's also still football week for us on this podcast of Dingers and Dunks, so that's a fun time as well. I'm loving this, by the way, and I appreciate everybody tuning in and listening to what we got going on here. At one guy with the mic, it's been a fun month so far, or I should say football season. Unfortunately, I don't think any of my fantasy football teams aren't going to make the playoffs this year, so that's a 16-year straight run of at least having one of my multiple teams make the playoffs. Not make the playoffs, so that's a hell of a streak to end. I guess I will have one team, which is my four-team league. That is with my two nephews and brother-in-law, so that's always fun. So this week, championship weekend. This is where it all gets hung out on the line. A lot of chaos needs to happen for Alabama to make it in, which roll tide, baby. It's a long shot. It's like a 2% chance of Alabama making it in, which to me is still a chance. That's what I'm saying. You got Iowa and Michigan, and it's still I think the polling total is like 35. Yeah, it's still going to be the under, I think. Iowa's going to hit an Iowa game is going to hit the under again. So, but we'll get that in more detail here in a minute. Also want to let you guys know I will be on a podcast with on a different podcast as a guest this month, talking about Willie Hernandez from the who passed away this year. One of three pitchers to win a Cy Young Award, MVP Award, and World Series MVP Award all in the same year. So we'll be so as soon as I get more details on that, Obviously, I'll let you guys know so you can tune in. It's a little something that gets put together every single year. So we'll have that as well. It's Christmas time, so I hope everybody's enjoying getting their presents wrapped, and you're getting the presents bought and wrapped and trees up and lights hung up. So it's a fun time for most. Others not so much. So what we got going on here? Well, let's start off with the 11 a.m. game between the Texas Longhorns, Oklahoma State Cowboys. Now, what is up with this game? Shall we? This game is Texas trying to win a Big 12 championship before they bid farewell to the conference. It's the Cowboys trying to top off a 9-3 season with a championship where they have beat Oklahoma this year. So why not ruin Texas's going away party as well, right? Unfortunately, I don't trust Mike Gundy. Just saying. Mike Gundy teams I have not trusted much lately as well, because I sometimes don't think Mike Gundy can win the big game. So with Texas coming in ranked 7th, and you got Oklahoma State ranked 19th right now, I'm going with the Texas Longhorns with the win. Unfortunately, that's bad news for Bama, because Texas, I feel, holds the since Texas did beat Bama in Bama, they hold the tiebreaker, obviously. Then you have the next up. We can talk a little bit about this MAC championship. Why not? It's Miami, Ohio, and Toledo. You got Miami, Ohio, who is 10-2 versus a Toledo team that's 11-1, and with Miami's only loss being to Toledo at home. So this game, Toledo and Miami, it's always a fun game. Miami is a +7 underdog in this game. And like I said, they're coming off their only loss is a 21-17 at-home loss against Toledo. But I think that Toledo Rockets are the two Toledo Rockets, so I'm going Toledo on this one. Sounds like a lot of fun. I love the MAC. We all should really watch the MAC a lot more. It's a really fun conference. And that game's at 11 a.m. on ESPN as well. You got Georgia, Alabama at 3 o'clock on CBS at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. And you're looking at a Georgia team that hasn't lost since for almost 2 straight years, right? This Georgia team has just ran through everybody. But they also didn't really play anyone they played 4 top 20 teams this year. Played Kentucky, beat them 51-13 at home. Played Missouri, beat them 30-21 at home. Played Ole Miss, 52-17. Played Tennessee on the road, 38-10. That was their 4 ranked game this year. Then they played their other games were against University of Tennessee Martin, Ball State. They played UAB. And then their conference game, and then they had Georgia Tech. Those were their out of conference games. Then you had, you got South Carolina in here, Vanderbilt, Florida. They didn't really play. They played Auburn and beat them 27-20, which, we all know what happened if you didn't watch the Bama Auburn game, you were definitely missing out with that rocket to the back of the end zone. So on that grave digger play, as they called it, so that on the anniversary of the kick six, so that was even better yet. Um, but yeah, so I just think that uh, Georgia hasn't really played anybody this year, and then last year, obviously, I mean, they played only. I mean, really, even last year, uh, they only played two top 25 teams last year. So I think their streak is a little kind of suspect here, considering their last loss was to Alabama in the SEC championship game in 2021, which they still ended up making the college playoff that year, and went on to beat Michigan and then beat Alabama in the championship game to get revenge. So, meanwhile, you got Bama that you got Alabama that has lost to Texas at home 34-24, and then let's see, and then they played Ole Miss, won 24-10 at home. Tennessee, LSU. So I mean, they've played four top 17 teams. Their other opponents, not really. I mean, they had a 3-point win against Arkansas. Sometimes I just think this Alabama team doesn't know how to win, if that makes sense. Even though they've won, I mean, obviously, like I said, they've won games, but I just don't think they know how to like get to continually win games. Like, if you look at the Auburn game, they let that one be too close. Like, they should have blown Auburn out. It should not have been that close against Auburn, right? And maybe that was the gut check for them. Let's see. So then last year, you know, um, Bama had two losses last year against Tennessee and LSU. Uh, so I mean, they didn't make the championship, and then they ended up beating Kansas State in the old Sugar Bowl. I don't think Bryce Young played in a. No, Bryce Young did play in the college playoff championship game in 21. So I just think that Auburn game might have been a wake up call for him, but I think it's a little bit too late. It's just too tough with so many unbeaten teams right now in college football, which is kind of crazy this late in the year as well. I can't remember a time where he had four unbeatens. Well, actually five, because Liberty's unbeaten as well, I do believe. But you have all these unbeaten teams still left in the at the end of the season. Like, I just can't fathom it right now. So this is pretty much a coin toss game, obviously, with the teams so close. And Georgia's, like I said, going for their 30th straight win. Alabama does lead the series 42-26-4. But Jalen Milroy definitely needs to be the weapon that he can be. I think what really has hurt Georgia, though, is that they've lost their tight ends. They lost one to an ACL injury, and then Brock Bowers has been out with slowed by an ankle injury all year as well. So the fun note of this game is Georgia would be only the ninth FBS school to win 30 consecutive games. The longest streak in history is Oklahoma's run of over 47 straight in 53-57. Alabama has 10 wins against teams ranked number one, and that's the most by any school. I mean, obviously that's because they play in the SEC, where for some reason they get a lot of ranked number one teams get ranked in the SEC. So, Crimson Tide kicker Will Richard Richard is one successful kick away from becoming the NCAA's career scoring leader, all by himself. He is tied with Keenan Reynolds, former Navy quarterback, as well. So, and the Bulldogs haven't beaten Alabama and Atlanta since 1942. Where was that? Where was the last conference championship game? I thought that was Atlanta. Like, that makes no sense to me. Maybe that one beat them in back-to-back years. I don't know, but I mean, so I guess that's the case. I mean, I thought they always played in Atlanta, but apparently I was wrong. But Kirby Smart does have also Nick Saban's number, but I'm taking the dog here, and I'm taking Alabama. Roll Tide, baby. So that's where we're going with on this one. Next up, we got you got SMU and Tulane. I mean, at 3 p.m. on ABC. Tulane's 11-1. Only loss being to Ole Miss 37-20. SMU's trying to win a conference championship before they go to the ACC, where they're going to basically play for free. So SMU is a +3 underdog. However, I like how ESPN has them to win 72.5% chance of winning. So that's pretty awesome, I guess. The Green Wave is trying to defend last year's crown. The Mustangs are trying to seek their first AAC championship. So I really, but SMU's out with their starting quarterback, so they're going with their backup, Kevin Jennings. Preston Stone's out. He broke his leg last week against Navy. So, I mean, backup quarterbacks never do well in conference championship games, it seems like. So, going to Lane on this one. Go Green Wave. That's cool. I mean, their logo is so awesome. It's a mean green wave. It's got like a little fist, and then it's got a cheerleader horn on it. So that's pretty sweet to me. Next up, you got. You want to talk about App State and Troy? I really don't, because I think that should have really been James Madison in there. 7 p.m. You got two games going on here. You got Michigan and Iowa in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium, and you got Louisville at Florida State. So number 2 versus number 16, and number 14 versus number 4. I think both these games could be upset alerts. I know Iowa has the worst ranked offense there is, but realistically, on a botched fair catch call, they would be 11-1. And only one opponent has scored more than 16 points on them. Yeah, that's right. Only one opponent has scored more than 16 points on them, and that was Penn State at Penn State, which was the 4th game of the year. Ever since then, Michigan State has put up the most at 16, and nobody. And they've gotten a shutout against the Rutgers. They won 15-6 against Wisconsin, 10-7 against Northwestern, 15-13 over Illinois, 13-10 over Nebraska. So, I mean, their defense does find ways, right? I mean, when you look at it, and when you do look at it, their defense has not been that we're going to let you do what you want between the 20s as it used to be in the past, where it was a bend don't break defense. But now the defense actually goes out. The last few years, Phil Parker's got that defense making plays and winning games for this team. Now, that said, I mean, they with that, like I said, with that said, Michigan does um, does have the number two ranked offense yards per game, which is 394 and a half a game, and they are very balanced on the run and pass option here. Plus, they also average 37 points a game. Meanwhile, the Hawkeyes average 18 points a game. So, um, really think that. But on the defensive side, I mean, this is where they're both really good because so Michigan only allows 10 points a game, where the Hawkeyes allow 12 points a game. Uh, they Michigan allows 94 yards per game rushing. Meanwhile the Hawkeyes only give 105, and the Hawkeyes don't turn the ball. The Hawkeyes don't turn the ball over. That's the other thing. Is the Hawkeyes offense doesn't turn the ball over that often. Like they don't make mistakes. They just punt the ball. That's all they do. They just punt the ball. I mean, they've thrown 9 interceptions all year. That's it. All right. They only throw for 123 yards a game, but they've only thrown 9 interceptions. Meanwhile, Michigan has only thrown 5 interceptions on the year. So, I mean, you got a couple of quarterbacks here that don't really turn the ball over. Third downs percentage, Michigan converts almost 50% of the third downs. Iowa does not, obviously, because their offense is really lackluster, right? So, and me. Meanwhile, the Hawkeyes defense has 10 INTs, and the Michigan defense got 16 INTs. So I think again, this is going to be a really really good. I think it's going to be a better game than most would think that most are going to think is happening with it. I mean, I was only allowed 2 rushing touchdowns all year, so their longest run allowed was 29 yards, and they've caused 9 fumbles. So I mean, the Michigan defense has got like 27 turnovers, I think. Meanwhile, the Hawkeyes have like 19. So both defense can turn the ball over, and get it back on get it back to the offense, and then it's just a field position game, which Iowa's got one of the best punters in the college football. So I think Iowa can pull off an upset, but do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. Michigan's just too strong. They got Jim Harbaugh back, but I think it's going to be a closer game than what most people think. So that'll be fun. And then on the other side, you have Louisville and Florida State in the ACC championship game. Florida State might be going with their third string quarterback, which, like I said, backup quarterbacks are never good in championship games. But Louisville's not really that strong of a team. You're really with Florida State trying to make it 13-0, going undefeated for and playing in its first conference game in almost a decade. I think Florida State comes out and just blows them away. Louisville doesn't look that strong. They did finish 10-2 in the overall for the season, and they did go 7-2 in the conference, or 7-1 in conference play, and they did just come off against a blown lead against Kentucky. So, but I just don't see them being able to sustain to be able to win. So, especially like I said, when they just blown a lead, and they played they played 2 ranked teams all year, Notre Dame and Duke. I mean, they won both of those games. Meanwhile, you got Florida State. All right, you got the Noles of Florida State, and they beat LSU at the first game of the year, a 3 seed. They beat Duke 38-20. Again, they didn't. I mean, that was their 2 ranked games, but they blew away everybody that they were supposed to blow away. So I mean, the Florida game was kind of close, but then they ended up pulling away at the end of it. So they really have not been in danger. And I still think their third quarterback can set them up for goodness, but it is a championship game, and backup quarterbacks sometimes don't show up. So that's why I'm saying Louisville, you have a chance of spoiling Florida State's party, which would be pretty awesome. So I'll take. You know what? Just for shites and giggles, I am going to take the Louisville Cardinals in this one, even though they're only 4-point dogs. So I mean, it's not a bad take at all. And then you have that brings me to the last matchup. It's at 2:00, and it's in Las Vegas, and it is between the UNLV Rebels and the Boise State Broncos. Now, the Mountain West Conference came down to computers. San Jose State was the odd man out, even though they did beat the Rebels 37-31 in the last game. However, the Rebels had a stronger schedule and also had higher rankings. So therefore, the Rebels were in. The Rebels were going to be in it either way. It was just a matter of who they're going to play. So then Boise State, who beat San Jose State, obviously was higher in the rankings. So then Boise State got in. And now you get the Boise State UNLV matchup that we didn't get to see during the regular season, and UNLV is the host of it at Allegiant Field. So, quick turnaround for the guys and gals that are doing the field prep for this game, since the Pac-12 championship game was played on it Friday night. So, real quick turnaround for them to get that field ready for 2:00 in the afternoon. Also, other Mountain West. So, before I get to the other news in the Mountain West, I should say, let's finish this up. I think UNLV comes out and wins this game. I think that Boise State is talking a lot of crap, too, because here's what Boise State has posted up on their scouting of UNLV that really kind of is kind of a little shady. They need to do a little better on this. Number 2 of scouting this week's opponent on scouting UNLV. Despite all the glitz and glamour in Sin City, all that glitters is not necessarily gold for the Rebels. UNLV enters this week looking to win its second conference championship ever and first since 1994, which was part of the Big West, or the WAC at that time. And if you think we're forgetting something, we certainly are not. Yes, UNLV won the Pacific Coast Athletic Conference in '84, but later had to forfeit the title due to using ineligible players. No, that team was not coached by Jerry Tarkanian. So, shots have been fired. That '84 team, I did some investigating, and I couldn't figure out which players were ineligible. But my guess is, I mean, it was the '80s, bro. Like, everybody was paying somebody. Look at SMU, for crying out loud. Who ended up getting the death penalty, which, by the way, is probably one of the ESPN 30 for 30 documentaries there is. So you should probably go check that out, and why there'll never be another death penalty given to a college football team. So, I mean, and they talk about that in this whole list is just that they go, and I posted it on Twitter, and so if you want to go, you can go look at it. But But it's just the whole list is just ridiculous. I mean, Barry Odin came in and basically turned this program around in 1 year, which, following UNLV football for as long as I have, uh, I thought Tony Sanchez was going to do it. I thought the last coach was going to do it, Arroyo, and neither one got it done. So, I mean, I really thought Sanchez was. Guy won like multiple high school football championships. Was a Las Vegas guy, and I thought he was going to come in and turn the program around, and he didn't. And Barry Odom comes over from Arkansas and then just automatically just starts running it. So, this is probably going to be one of the best games of the weekend. The Broncos are making their 7th trip to the Mountain West title game since it was introduced in 2013. UNLV's first appearance. The Boise State Broncos fired their head coach when they were 5-5. Now they move in 7-5. And this is only the second time that the Rebels have won more than have had a winning record since 1999. So, and it's our first bowl game appearance since 2014. So, that's been fun. But for what Barry Odom has done with this program has been by far amazing. Jaden Mayava has been excellent. Vincent Davis Jr. has been excellent. Ricky White has been phenomenal. Guy should definitely win Conference Player of the Year. I know he did get first team all conference, but boy has balled out though. 75 receptions for 1,300 yards with 7 TDs. Yeah, boy balled out. That's what I'm saying. So definitely should win Conference Player of the Year. You got Jaden Mayava. He passed for 2,600 yards. We talked about this last week. So going into the game against San Jose State, just how well this team has been doing. So, and I'm going to keep going with them. After they lost to Fresno State 31-24, bounced back and beat New Mexico 56-14. So, I think they can do the same thing. It's 1 week at a time mentality, and next opponent's up Boise State, and they've been talking a lot of crap. And so UNLV by 2 touchdowns. We'll make it that way. Sounds like a fun time. So, and again, if you want to see the post that UNLV has scouted, go ahead and follow me. Go ahead and check out my Twitter because I do have that posted up on there. So that gets me to the NFL schedule this week. We did not do so hot last week. A lot of upsets. A lot of teams I did not think were going to won. And I think I only won like 4 games. But hey, we're 180. We're 100 wins and 80 losses on the season. So we're still 20 games above 500 for the Swami baby. So you had the Thursday night matchup. You had Dallas and Seattle, which was good game. Dallas actually, Dallas won a game above a 500 team for the first time this year, so that's a plus. Seattle came out and played very, very well, which was quite amazing after the egg they laid against the Niners. Seattle still has a chance to make the playoffs, which is fine. They have Seattle has a schedule that's still favorable for them to do so at 6-6. I mean, they play the Niners again next week. Then they got the Eagles, but then they finish up with the Titans, Steelers, Cardinals. So I feel like as well I think they get a little revenge on the Niners. They have the Eagles coming to the house, which I think that game's going to be on Monday Night Football. So I think that's going to help as well. Plus, they got a lot of days between these games. So they played a Thursday night game against the Cowboys, and they don't play the Niners again until the 10th. Until a Sunday. So they get, 10 days off, basically, between games. Basically, that's an extra bye week. The Eagles, they get 8 days because they don't play them until Monday night. So I think we'll give Pete Carroll that much time and thinking he'd have his team show up. So good. So Seattle, I think, can still win. 4 of their last 5 to get to 10-7, and that'll get them enough to put in the playoffs. Which Geno Smith, like I said, looked phenomenal on Thursday night. I'm not taking anything away from the Seahawks on this because that Cowboys defense is number 1 for a reason in fantasy football. They're basically number 1 in takeaways. That defense is just really strong, and I think with the Cowboys record with 4 games to go, they play the Eagles, the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Lions. So those are some playoff matchups right there, boys and girls. And if they can go, and then they finish up with the Commanders. So I could see them going 4-1 as well, finishing at 13-4, and giving the Eagles another loss. So they still have a chance at this AFC or the NFC East. And no one cares about Stephen A. Smith. So ESPN, I know he's your talking head, but still. So it was probably one of the best Thursday night games of the year, or last 2 years, I should say, because we've had some really crappy Thursday night games, and that was probably one of the best ones. Then we got Indianapolis and Tennessee. I'm going to Indy there. Tennessee, I don't know what Tennessee's doing. They're so up and down. They don't use Derrick Henry enough. They don't really. I'm at a loss for words what they're trying to do with that offense right now. Indianapolis, going Gardner Minshew all day. I love Gardner Minshew the second. Then you got the Chargers going to New England. Chargers definitely need a win. I feel Brandon Staley is, I think, on the hot seat. They've lost 3 in a row, and he said he's still going to call the defense. So I really think they need to finish strong. They have games against the Patriots, Broncos, Raiders, Bills, Broncos again, and then they have the Chiefs at home. So they got 2, 4, 6 games left. I feel like for him, in order to keep his job going into next year, he needs to finish at 9-8, which they're gonna miss the playoffs again. It's just gonna be, that's just the way it's gonna be, and I think Brandon Staley's out at the Chargers at the end of the year. I think as much as don't want to, as much fun as he is sometimes, but it's either him or Kellen Winslow that's got to go because one of them suffering. Or maybe it's Justin Herbert. It's not as good as everybody thinks he is. I have no idea. But I think the Chargers can win this one, but it's Bill Belichick, New England. Bailey Zappi is probably going to be the quarterback, so we're definitely going to go with we'll go Chargers. Why not? Going to win in Foxborough. If Philip Rivers and LT could do it, why not? Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler? Just saying. I don't know. You got Detroit, New Orleans. No one really wants to win that South. That's all I'm saying with New Orleans. Seems like everybody wants to just not win that South, which is why I really thought Carolina could sneak in and win this thing, but apparently not. So, Detroit coming off that hard loss against Green Bay. I think Jared Goff finally gets his act together, stops throwing interceptions, stops running the ball, and I think New Orleans is a great play this week for Detroit to get all that kind of mojo back that Dan Campbell's missing, especially going against his old team. So I'm going Detroit on this one. Up in New York, you got Atlanta and New York playing at MetLife Stadium, where the field is just horrible. When are we going to get real turf put at that stadium? Because apparently they're or a better groundskeeper up there, because for some reason people are just tear everything at that field for some reason. So maybe it's because Jimmy Hoffa's buried in the end zone. I don't know. And I don't know if that's a real thing or not. It's just always been one of the rumors. So I think New York wins this game. I think the Jets win. And what about Aaron Rodgers? Did he really tear his Achilles? Nobody knows except for him. He says yes, but I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers fan, so what he has to say sometimes kind of is whatever to me. So I mean, congrats if he's going to make it back to make it back this year. I guess I don't know. It'd be a medical phenomenon. Please let us know how you did it, so that way we can get more players to heal from Achilles faster as well. Um, then you got Arizona, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, obviously. Um, Mike Tomlin is probably one of the best coaches right now in the league for what he has. And then they did fire Matt Canada, which was amazing because then they actually started passing the ball and using the middle of the field, and it's crazy. But Deontay Johnson's having a little bit of a diva issue out there, which Tomlin's not going to let that go. So he'll probably fix that. Either they get that ship fixed as well. George Pickens isn't really happy as well, but I mean, they're wide receivers. They're prima donnas. Wide receivers, as a former wide receiver, I am for sure know all about that. I mean, I wasn't even a good wide receiver, but I still had Michael Irvin status on. Felt like I was Michael Irvin out there. So, and I was slow, but I mean, it is, and I was small. So, I had a lot of things working against me, but I could catch the ball and hold on to it. So, next up, so I'll take Pittsburgh in that game. Next up, we got Miami, Washington. Miami's just going to run roughshod all over this thing. Miami probably puts up 48 points this week. Washington defense it's horrible. Jack Del Rio's probably going to get fired. Ron Rivera's probably going to get fired. Washington's probably going to clean house now that they got a new owner. I just don't think they're going to let this team sit around and continue to play as bad as it is. Sam Howell, however, is playing out of his mind, and that's very low-key Rookie of the Year potential for me. I think with what Sam Howell's doing out there in Washington, he's got a 66.5% completion rating. He's thrown for 3,300 yards, 18 touchdowns. And then he's also rushed as well. Hold on one second. Let's see. There we go. So he's got 18 TDs, 13 INTs. He has 222 yards rushing and 3 TDs. So, I mean, the boy's is playing really well. Too bad his defense is just not that good. So, and I think you're gonna get if they do end up letting Rivera go, you're gonna bring in an offensive-minded coach, right? And then even bring more out of Sam Howell. Don't bring in Josh McDaniels. That'd be the dumbest move ever. But so Sam Howell can somehow, some way pull off that as well. So, going Miami, Denver, Houston. Denver's on a streak, man. Going against Houston, I don't know who to pick in this game. Houston coming off that loss against Jacksonville, where the defense didn't look as good. But Denver's playing hot. They're just finding to win. They're just finding ways to win games right now. I mean, they've won 5 in a row, beating the Packers, Chiefs, Bills, Vikings, Browns, and now they go to Houston. So, do I think they find another way to win a game? I mean, this team with a win this week, and they play the Chargers twice. I mean, and the Patriots and Lions. I mean, they could finally do something. I mean, I guss good for them, maybe. I don't know. I really don't like Denver. Just colors are absurd to me. I don't know, that orange. I just don't. For some reason, I just hate that orange. So it's probably just new bringing back the Orange Crush jerseys. Those were way better with the big old blue D with the blue and the big D on the side. That's what they probably really need to bring back. Um, I think Denver wins this game. I think Houston right now is finding ways to lose games. Well, I couldn't say finding ways to lose. I mean, they're still pretty hot. I mean, and they did beat the Bucks, Bengals, Cardinals before they lost to the Jaguars by 3. I mean, they lost by Jaguars to 3. So again, I don't really know. Um, so I'm not really for sure exactly how to go with this one, but I'm going Denver. Why not? They seem to be the hot. I mean, they seem to be doing pretty well right now. So, and then after this, the Texans got the Jets, Titans, Browns, Titans, and Colts. So I mean, they're gonna be fine even if they lose this game. That's still 5 winnable games that they have left. So they can still finish 11-6. And what's the Colts doing at 6-5? Just saying, that's weird. Getting on the Colts, but good for Indy. Could barely be 7-5 right now. Jacksonville. Next up, you got Tampa Bay, Carolina. Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield. Carolina fired Frank Wright, which I don't think it was Frank Wright's fault, to be honest. But, you know, their David Tepperman thought it was. And after 10 games of Frank Wright, he's let go. So I think that Tampa Bay wins this game. And then next up, you have Cleveland and goes out to L.A. Cleveland is on a West Coast swing right now, and they're starting Joe Flacco. So, taking L.A. The 3:25 game is San Francisco and Philly. I really think they should have put this at the Sunday night game, taking the KC Green Bay game out, but who am I to make that decision? San Francisco, Philly at Philly on Fox. Give me the Fox game of the week. So that means we get to listen to Greg Olsen and Kevin Burkhardt. Oh my goodness. That's going to suck. Why can't this game be on CBS so we can listen to Tony Romo and Jim Nantz? Or not? Yeah, that's right. Just saying. But whatever. San Francisco goes into Philly and wins. That's all there is to it. Brock Purdy's playing this game. Not hurt. So San Francisco over Philly. Next up, we got Kansas City Green Bay for the Sunday night game because Kansas City is getting all the primetime games for some reason. Jordan Love's feeling it. KC, I don't know what's going on with KC, man. Like, I don't know if they're just sliding through the season because they play in the AFC West. I was just like, you know what, we just win a division, so let's just go out there and not. But their defense definitely needs to step it up. The offense needs to step it up at times as well. So Jordan Love's pretty hot, but Green Bay's defense still suspect. So going KC. And then the Monday night matchup is Cincinnati versus Jacksonville, which I thought this was going to be a bigger game at the beginning of the year, but Cincinnati is out without Joe Burrow. So we get to see Jacksonville on primetime for the first time. I don't know. That's not a Sunday morning game out in London, for one. And I don't remember the last time Jacksonville actually had a primetime game. So that's interesting. Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville comes out and win that game as well. Your teams on the byes this week is Buffalo, Chicago, Raiders, Vikings, Giants, and Baltimore. And then we got one more week of byes. And then everybody's back for 15, 16, 17, and 18. So there's the weekend rundown for your football week. And I got nothing else. So hope your team wins this week to everybody except for you Denver fans. I mean, I picked Denver to win, but I just don't like Denver. So also Georgia fans, I hope your team doesn't win as well. Or Boise State fans, especially Boise State fans. You know, I've never been mad at a university before as much as I am Boise State right now because they have such a cool field, but then want to put out some BS presser before this game. Like, get out of here, boy. So, yeah. So, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy this coming up week. Bowl season starts in 2 weeks, boys and girls. And next week's podcast, we'll have NFL Friday, but I'm going to come up with some basketball content since we are almost to me, basketball season doesn't start till Christmas Day anyways, so that's how that works. But we'll come up with some basketball content for next week. Throw in a little baseball content because the winter meetings are going on this weekend, so hopefully we get some news out of there, or next week. I guess winter meetings take place next week, so hopefully by Friday, when Thursday or Friday, we get some news on that as well. So, all right, enjoy your weekend. Thanks for tuning in. As always, appreciate every one of you, and enjoy the championship weekend. All right. Also, make sure to drop that follow if you were here for the first time. I know I got to do. My kid told me I need to start doing this at the start of the podcast or in the middle of the podcast, so that way it gets set earlier. Because he's like, "What if people don't listen to the end?" I'm like, "True." Make sure you drop that follow though. Ring the bell. Drop us so that way you get notifications. Make sure you put this thing on auto download, please. That way we get credit for downloads. We were almost to 1,000 downloads for the podcast since May of last year, so that's a big milestone. And what were like 500 downloads this middle of the summer, and we've already gotten 500 more almost. So taking off, my man, taking off. I figured about this is about a 5-year plan. This thing should be huge. So we'll be year 2 in January. So next month is year 2 of this podcast that was started on a conversation at 7 a.m. in the morning. So that's always fun. And for the first, year and a half was done off my phone. So, anyways, make sure you follow me. The things are up on YouTube as well. The podcasts are on my YouTube page, One Guy with a Mic. You can go listen to them there while you're at work. So, don't always have to listen to me on your phone as well. And then, as always, go to shankitgolf.com and use the code ONEGUY, ONEGUY, to get a discount at checkout. So, all right, thank you, and have a spectacular week ahead.
Have you ever noticed that the lower jaw is not protected in sports? Did you know that 10,800 concussions will happen today? This has been an upward trend for the past 50 years. I'm Dr. Michael Hutchison, a practicing neuromuscular dentist. When my son wanted to participate in football and rugby, I was afraid he was going to get a concussion. That fear led me to finding the missing link to reducing concussions. The fact is, the only part of the skull that is not protected in sports is the lower jaw. If you want to drastically reduce concussions, there are 3 basic jaw positions that affect concussions, and 2 of them are not good. The correct one is called physiologic jaw position. It will dissipate the force away from the brain. Knowing that, I designed an appliance that put my son's jaw in the right place. And as a result, he was concussion-free from 5th grade all the way to senior year. This jaw position takes those 10,800 concussions today down to 28. It's the key to concussion protection. As a parent, this is what you need to know. It's extremely important that the device you are using is on the lower jaw. Thickness of the device is important. Most importantly, it must position and hold you in your own unique personal physiologic jaw position. So if your child goes out on the field with the correct jaw position, your son or daughter will not one of those 10,800 concussions today. Get yours today at PowerPlusMouthguard.com. Use the promo code POWERUP2023 for 10% off.